Simon Davis with It's a Fencer's Life, Lessons from the Trenches.
G'day, guys. It's Simon here, the Profitable Fencer. This is your podcast, A Fencer's Life, Lessons from the Trenches. Today, I'm coming to you about something that's been coming up quite a lot in the topics that I've been talking with fellas about in regards to raising prices, and that they cannot raise their prices because they will lose jobs. Now, I've seen this over the years. I've had this same mindset issues before as well. So please, this is just going from my own experience. It may not be for everybody, but from what I have seen is the biggest issue I can see is that when you compete on price, you're entering a race to the bottom. That's how I sort of see it. I think when you're competing price, you're entering a race to the bottom, and your competition is primarily focused on slashing costs, which can lead to a reduced quality. If you're primarily focused on slashing costs, which can lead to reduced quality and a lack of innovation, that's my sort of gut feeling. But there's other things around it as well. So in my 30 years of experience, I've seen businesses who operate like this, and they price gouge each other, and they just drop all the prices all the way to the bottom until sort of nobody's making any money, and the only person that wins seems to be the customer. That's great if you're just trying to dominate a market. You can operate this way, but you will struggle to maintain sustainability and growth. Undercutting competitors may win you immediate jobs, but in the long term, it creates financial strain, lower margins, and higher turnover, and both in the terms of clients and staff. Okay, so that's very important to make sure you're aware of. The importance of collaboration over competition. So collaboration for growth. This is a big key, and I want to just sort of dive into this for a minute, because I think if you're competing for price and you're too worried about losing jobs or too fearful around those jobs, and I want to dive into that one a little bit as well. I think that our mindset about raising prices comes from a backlog of the way we've been brought up, the way we've been taught by our forefathers and by our parents and grandparents and things like that, is that we have to work very, very hard, very long hours to succeed. And from what I have learnt myself, that is not true at all. If you can raise your prices to give yourself a bit of wriggle room, leeway, your business will do well. And I find that competition is at the bottom of the table, and if you're fighting for scraps, your business is going to go out the sort of back door. Whereas collaboration is at the top of the table, and you can do a lot more when you collaborate with people and teams and opposition, not competition, but your opposition. Instead of fighting competitors for the lowest price, you can focus on collaboration. You can actually share insights. You can find areas where you can complement each other and work towards creating value together. This is the key word, is value. So when you're raising prices, you've got to add value. That's your number one thing. Collaborators find ways to deliver high quality work while commanding higher rates. And this is a very big thing too. So for years, for probably the first 20 years, I stayed at the bottom of the market, being price-based just to win work. I had a few people working for me, had big crews. We tried to stay as competitive as we could. And then when things went sort of belly up for me, or things turned nasty, I didn't have any money in the bank to build myself out of it. It was a lot of drama. And one of the big things you find, and as I've talked about before, when you're playing with your own money, it becomes very emotional. And you've got to try and take that emotion out and work from a place of abundance, not scarcity. And this is what I want to sort of dive into a little bit today, because I think it's really important that some of you guys are charging bottom-based prices and working your guts out for not much gain. Working really hard for basically wages. And that's not what you want to get into business for. You want to get into business to make high profits and to create a sustainable business that works without you and that gives you free time then to go and do other things. So that's really important. And one of the ways to do that is to set standards in your industry, set them high. By raising your prices and refusing to engage in price wars, you actually position yourself as a premium service provider, which is absolutely awesome. You'll start attracting better clients. This not only increases profitability, but also forces the industry to elevate its standards. So it's not just by you lifting your standards, others will start to raise up as well, which is what you want. The mindset shift to do that is you have to offer value over price. So let me just dig into that one a little bit. If you're building fences and you're charging $150 or $100 a month, for example, for a vinyl fence or a ColourBond fence or a paling timber fence, or $30 per foot, whatever it is, whatever monetary value you're in, imperial or decimal, wherever you are in the world, if you are charging one, or the market is telling you that everybody's charging one certain rate, and you go up and try and charge 10 times higher than that, for example, so say it's $100. If you try and charge $1,000 per meter for that, well then the marketplace will basically tell you that you're not anywhere close. But if you can go in and charge, again, everybody's charging $100, and you can go in and charge $150 or $200, there's actually, people will pay that. And the way to do that is to actually raise the value for your client rather than just the price. So there are ways to do that as well. We'll dig into that again shortly, but the key factor is, I think one of the big issues why we don't raise our prices, and I've heard this so many times over 30 years, but is I don't want to raise my prices because I feel like I'm ripping the customer off. And I keep bashing my head against this all the time because I was very much like this. Please understand that I had the mindset of I didn't like asking for money. I had a real bad money mindset. I didn't like asking for money. Didn't like every time somebody said, "Oh, Simon, that's too dear. Can you drop your price?" Well, I'd basically drop my price and give discounts and everything else. And as a result, my business suffered. Okay, my family suffered. So the key to raising prices is offering value that clients recognize and are willing to pay for, which is whether it's through better materials, customer service, or expertise, clients are often willing to pay more for better quality, peace of mind, and added features. Okay, and to do that, you actually have to educate your clients. So many clients don't understand the true cost of quality work. What you should be doing is use every opportunity to educate them on the benefits of investing in your services, explain the long-term value of what you're offering compared to the short-term savings of a cheaper option. And again, poor quality. I've heard this before, that warranties, a lot of fences I see have a tailgate warranty. Basically, as the lights fade in the distance as the tailgate, the customer's looking at the tailgate as you drive off after a job, the warranty's finished. And that's not how we operate these days. You need to stand behind your work. You need to do a really good job. And by doing that and staying in a place for a long time, you can actually build that trust up and build that experience up for your client that they will keep coming back and back and back. Now, over the years, I have had a lot of repeat customers, and I've found this a little bit difficult in the fencing industry for two reasons. One, that if you do a really good job, you very rarely get your client, that customer, come back, because if it's a residential job, for example, you put their fence up once, you really don't need to put it up again. I've had a couple of repeat clients that have come back to me 20 years down the track that said I've done their original fences and they need replacing now. And the second thing is, if you're doing sort of commercial work, you want to be working with builders and things like that. So once you're doing a good job, then you'll start to come back. So residential, yeah, as I said, I've done different clients. over the years. They've moved house and they've got me back to do different jobs. I think I maybe have changed 3 fences that I've originally built in close to my 30 years. They've sort of stood up for the best part. I understand these days the quality is not quite as high in certain materials that we're using, but if we're still offering value and quality versus price, and you can create that value in the job. And I want to give you an example on this. My company was just engaged to do a big fencing job on a rural property. I was asked to come in and just put strainer posts in and concrete posts in and no wire, just to do that. And then if we had time, we could run some star pickets and the barbed wire. Now, I priced it as a linear meter rate is how I wanted to price it. The client, who was a manager for a big farm company, did not see the value in me doing the whole lot on a meter rate. He thought it was too dear and wasn't going to get there. So I had to price that job on a hourly rate. And so when I did the hourly figures, I put my 2 blokes on there. I put a machine on there. I charged for the 2 blokes, and then I charged for the machine on top. Now, I was probably $50 an hour dearer than the next bloke, maybe $60 an hour dearer. And for 3 weeks, we worked solidly there and done 3/4 of the fencing. Then I found out that he had approached another fencer who was coming in on an hourly rate as well with machines and who was the $60 cheaper. So he asked me to finish up and leave the job, which was okay. I had done 3 weeks there already. But the fact of the matter was that he did not see the value in what I was giving him because of the extra price that he was paying. So I lost that job, and the other fencer could have been there for another maybe 2 weeks because he thought he was doing as much. The owner thought he was doing as much as what I was doing in the same sort of period of time. So I just wanted to clear that is how things can go on the south side for you. If you don't create the value, you won't get the dollars. If you can create the value, you will. You've got to try and educate the client. And my client at that stage did not believe that what I was doing, I was paying too much. I was charging him too much for the labour component because he thought my boys were getting paid way too much. So he didn't realise there was machines there was travel there was fuel there was admin costs there was tax there. All of those things come into you. There was superannuation, there was holidays. All that comes into your price of labour. And if you're just charging a labour price straight off the bat, it's not going to work for you. So you have to be very mindful of that. Creating a niche and specialising is something too that you can do to create value and quality, and then educate your customers about. So focus on the areas where your expertise sets you apart from the competition. Instead of trying to fight them on everything, just pick your niche. And niche markets often allow for higher pricing because clients are willing to pay a premium for specialised skills. So that works really, really well for you if you're doing timber 3-rail fence, and that's what you consistently or constantly are doing. You become an expert in that field, whereas your competition down the road may do something completely different and only touch 3-rail fence every now and then. So you can become a leader in your field, and you can also put yourself out there as a thought leader. So position yourself as an expert or thought leader in your field, and that gives you the ability to raise prices without pushback. And this has sort of naturally gravitated to my business as well, because I've been in the game for so long. I know a lot of the people in the industry in higher levels, and especially in my opposition in big companies. I do collaborate with some of those companies as well for supplies, but also for labour force. So if I can do a big commercial job, I can get get it off one of these big suppliers, and I can actually go and subcontract for them if I want to, if I haven't got the funds to run the whole job myself. So that's talking about collaboration and how you can work together without pushing yourself out of the market just based on price. And the more recognize your brand, the more clients will trust you to deliver a good, precise, clean job. So let me get into the psychological barrier of raising prices. And I think I've got something here that I'm pretty sure is why a lot of people don't want to raise prices. And one is the money mindset. They don't like asking for money. They don't do their invoices on time. They don't do their collections on time. But I think a lot of that too is based around fear, and fear of rejection and fear of losing clients. So again, go back to the scenario of Joe Blow down the road charging $100 a metre. You're now charging $200 a metre, double the price, and you don't want to raise that price, because if you go to that client A and he's had two quotes and one's 100 and one's double, they're going to go for the double every time, and you'll get rejected from that job. Okay, and being a business owner is also getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, which is very hard. I'm going through an issue at the moment that is starting to rattle me a little bit. So believe me, I'm not immune to any of this, but it's all financial based and then fear of rejection. So I have my own demons that I've got to deal with, and I deal with on a daily basis, running a business, dealing with people, dealing with clients, dealing with staff, working the whole process, as you know. And sometimes it's easier to sort of sit back on your laurels and just sort of do what you got to do and work with one or two people and be comfortable. But one of the big things is the growth happens when you step out of your comfort zone and get into the next part. So for those who understand the value you bring, your clients will stay with you, and the new clients will be attracted to your reputation for quality. And look, I really want to be clear with that too, because you get what you focus on. And I've seen this so many times in my fencing world. And I used to go to a mindset once, and we want to talk about scarcity and abundance. Pardon me. Being scarce when things are tight and things are rough and there's not much money in the bank, and you're looking for where the next dollar is, you start making rash decisions, and you have a very scarcity mindset. You start, when things go pear-shaped, you start looking for reasons why they're going pear-shaped, and you're looking for excuses and things like that. Whereas when you're being abundant and you're grateful for what's happening in your world and grateful for what's coming around the corner, and you start focusing on good clients and good profits and setting the bar really, really high with your quality and your value and your experience in the industry, people will naturally gravitate to that as well. So you can have the sort of yin and yang, the scarcity and the abundance, but the abundance is much more profound, in my opinion. It's not always easy to stay there, believe me, but if you can work down that track, you'll be fine, because your business will make a lot more profits. And as I said, when there's a little headache or something like that, you're pretty safe. So one of the last things, you've got to set boundaries and walk away at times. So be willing to walk away from clients who only value the cheapest option. Staying firm on your pricing helps ensure working with clients who value your expertise and are more likely to provide repeat business. So that gives us the practicality of then raising prices, gradual increases. You don't have to raise prices immediately overnight. A gradual increase paired with improved services or benefits allows clients to adjust and see the value more clearly. And then you also have to be transparent. So being transparent with your clients about why prices are increasing. If your materials or labour costs or skills have improved, share that with them. When clients understand the reasoning behind price hikes, they are more likely to accept what is going on. And I also want to talk about when you're doing your sales process and you have raised your prices and you've sent quotes out, and this happens quite a lot in the field of fencing, is when you're out there as an estimator or doing a quote and the client asks you for a roughie, a rough estimate, a rough price, just give us something off the top of your head so I know where we're sort of going. If you go too low, it is hard to, when you go back to the office and have to write your prices out, and you find out that, I just told the lady $3,000, now it's $4,000. You've got an uphill battle straight away to try and get that job across the line. Okay, so be very wary when you are talking to your clients that you don't give too much away early up. You build the rapport. You've got to find out a budget from your customers and your clients so you can sort of tailor something to them, because I've seen this as well, that you can go in and do a quote for $15,000, for example, or $20,000, and then you get home and you self-sabotage and go, oh, that's too dear, that just doesn't sound right, I'm going to drop it down to 17. And then you go down further, I drop it down to 15. Then you'll go in, put your final bid in, that's $12,000, only to find out that your client or your customer, if that had gone with you, were probably willing to pay $20,000 and you've just left $7,000 on the table, or they haven't gone with you and they've gone to somebody else and paid $18,000 or $19,000. Okay, so again, it's your ability to sell the job not based on price, but based on quality, experience, and value that you can offer. Okay, so I want to leave that there. The fear factor of losing jobs and fear of rejection is something that I think is a big part of why we won't raise prices to the best of our ability. I see a lot of people sitting on gross profit margins of 10, 12%, and it's just not enough for when things go belly up or pear-shaped or the weather turns nasty for a little bit. I've also seen companies sitting on 50% GP, which is 100% markup. And from where I'm sitting, that's where I want to get to. I can't always get that on all my jobs. There's some jobs I can, but there's others I can't. So that tells me that I'm chasing the wrong jobs. So I've got to look at the other types of jobs that I'm doing, raise those prices up, so then I can make more profit. And it's nothing to do with ripping off the customers. It's all about having a sustainable business that I can operate on, make clear decisions and correct decisions based on skill level and value and expertise, so my business thrives in the future. So I want to leave that with you. One last thing is, I teach this a lot in my coaching classes, one-on-one, and in my business transformation, my 16-week course. I have clients in there at the moment that have been doing really well, were very, very low in their margins at the start, but have had price increases under my guidance and have jumped 83 to 86% in the last 16 weeks in their revenue, and also in their profit margins. Their conversion rates have gone up to 36, 38%, and they have had debt reduction by up to 50%, and that's in a short time of 16 weeks. And that's probably doing a couple of modules in my course that have probably 10% of my course. Hasn't even got into a lot of the bigger stuff just yet, but these are some of the things that I can help you with. If you want to work with me, please reach out, message me, follow the fence post on Facebook, and reach out, message, and we'll have a chat, because this is what I'm all about. I want you guys to make good money, not just wages. Create a lifestyle for yourself that's really advantageous for you and your family. But all the best. Stay safe.
Thanks again for listening to the Fencer's Life Podcast. Be sure to follow on Twitter, Instagram, or the free Facebook group, The Fence Posts. And of course, Simon's personal Facebook, facebook.com/SimonMDavis1. And also check out Spotify to get weekly episodes. If you believe Simon can help you make a difference in your fencing business, please reach out to him on Messenger or visit his coaching mentoring site at theprofitablefencer.com. Until then, stay safe and happy fencing.